It's Monday, March 22, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. Prime Minister Mottley today outlined her government's plan to build back better as she detailed the island's biggest economic decline in decades, triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Delivering the 2021 to 2022 estimates of revenue and expenditure before Parliament today, she outlined a three-pronged plan to protect the vulnerable, a capital works program to kickstart economic activity and boost competitiveness. She warned of challenges but insisted Barbados will overcome.
The year before, sir, we would have recorded in tax revenue 2.931 billion, in non-tax revenue 627.4 million, bringing us to a total of $3.559 billion in revenue. In this year of our Lord that will finish this month, we will be collecting significantly less at 2.269 billion. It is projected in tax revenue, and 140.6 million in non-tax revenue, bringing us to a total of about $2.41 billion. Mr. Speaker, that is more than $1.1 billion less than we would have taken in the previous year.
No new taxes are on the agenda for government at this time. Prime Minister Mottley assured the country is in a position to recover from the COVID-19 fallout without any increases.
In spite of everything that we've done, we have taken a decision internally that we believe so long as we can get economic activity moving again in this country fully again, the tax structure that we have should be adequate to carry us through. And what has bridged us, as I said, is the fact that the confidence that we've created internationally has allowed others to step forward and provide the funding to build that bridge such that we do not have to go back to Barbadians and to inflict taxes at the very time that they're not in a position to receive them or pay them.
In his reply this afternoon, Opposition Leader Bishop Joseph Adderley took issue with the estimates, suggesting there was little to stimulate growth and jobs. He suggested that government was racking up debt and will be spending more than $800 million this year to service debt in the absence of economic growth.
There are generations behind us that will have to repay the debts which now this government, this country at this time creates. They will have to pay, Mr. Speaker, against a backdrop where there's no certainty of job opportunity. No certainty of job opportunity. And that was prior to COVID. COVID has exacerbated the situation. No certainty of job opportunity for these young people behind us when they come to the doors of the job market.
But Small Business Minister Kerry Simmons took Adderley to task for his criticisms of the government's economic program and charged that the opposition was out of touch with reality.
So a year ago, we made it clear to the House that we were going to focus on this matter of jobs and on the survival of the people of the country, Mr. Speaker, because nobody is going to poo-poo or to diminish or make slight of the importance for there to be growth. But the reality is nobody's putting growth as the first priority now. You got to talk about stabilization. You got to talk about recovery long before you can get to the growth issue, Mr. Speaker, sir. And we have to stabilize the country in the aftermath of the impact of COVID-19. And the Leader of the Opposition, I believe, knows better.
A Barbadian woman succumbed to COVID-19 on Saturday, bringing total deaths from the viral illness to 40. The 61-year-old, who also had non-communicable diseases, died on Saturday at the Harrison Point Isolation Facility, where she was in primary intensive care on a ventilator. The island recorded 8 new cases, 3 men and 5 women, from among 261 tests conducted by the Besta Santos Public Health Laboratory on Sunday. 28 people recovered, were released from isolation. 161 people remain. Since the pandemic began, there have been 3,559 confirmed cases and 3,358 people have recovered from the virus.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, Jamaican police are investigating a missing vial containing 10 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine from the Cornwall Regional Hospital. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton provided this update.
Management of the institution was asked to investigate. The police, I believe, has been brought in to investigate, and there have been some personnel adjustments just to ensure that it doesn't reoccur. Well, let me just say for the record that to date, we have used some 2,200 vials have been used. There is always going to be an expectation of some waste.
The minister argues that Jamaica's wastage is way below the global standard and the threshold established before the vaccination program.
There's a global standard of some 3%. We have set our target at 2%. And to date, our waste or equivalent has been 0.03%, so far less than 1%. So I think under the circumstances, I think the team in the field is doing very well, but of course the objective is not to waste any. I think in one instance a vial fell off a table and broke, and in another instance someone had the vial in the hand, and I don't know what happened. And there are a few doses left in that particular vial, and it broke. So you're going to have some of these things happening, and this is a global phenomenon. But as the Prime Minister said, it is our intention to minimize this as best as possible.
On the international front, torrential rains lashed Australia's southeast again today, worsening once-in-a-century flooding that has forced thousands of people to evacuate their homes and shuttered hundreds of schools.
Large swathes of Australia's most populous state have been submerged by what authorities say is the worst flooding in New South Wales in nearly 60 years. Thousands have been forced to leave their homes.
Carpets, cupboards, everything's gone.
We moved everything out from, say, about 4 o'clock onwards, got everything out of the place, and then we just sit and wait.
Sydney's main water source, the Warragamba Dam, has overflowed and is discharging about 500 gigalitres per day. That's equivalent to the volume of Sydney Harbour. About 200 schools were closed across the state on Monday, and people are being warned to prepare for a very difficult week. It's a stark contrast to the weather conditions in the same region a year ago.
Some communities who were battered by the bushfires are now being battered by the floods, and deep drought prior to that. And I don't know any time in our state's history when we've had these extreme weather conditions in such quick succession in the middle of a pandemic.
900 millimetres of rain has fallen in some regions along the north coast over the past week, more than 3 times the average for the month of March.
I've been a flood forecaster in the Bureau for 20 years, and this is probably the worst flooding that I've experienced.
Forecasters say there will be no let-up until at least Wednesday. A severe flood warning has also been issued for large parts of neighbouring Queensland.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.